Chrissy. I'm glad you wanted another act. I didn't have a plan B. My name's Chrissy. I'm the one your mother warned you about. Because I'm financially unstable and not very domestic. Don't hear many parents, do you, saying to their children, you know what I want for you, my son? The one thing I would choose for you, my boy, my little prince, before I die, it would be for you to get together with a stand-up comedian. And if I could build this woman from scratch, a fantasy, a pipe dream for you, my angel, my only son, I would want her to be a divorced single mother with moderate to severe mental health problems. Preferably depression and ADHD, so that on the rare occasions that she manages to get out of bed, it's to say, my God, what an interesting moth. It's a bit weird though, isn't it, this? Stand-up comedy. Bit of a weird, uncomfortable social transaction, actually. From our point of view, we're up here bearing our souls in return for a laugh. That was bearing our souls, by the way, not the other thing. That would be a bit of a cheap laugh, wouldn't it? And I checked, they don't let you do that here. And from your point of view, whatever I say, you have to listen. So if I wanted to tell you all about my last smear test, I'm not going to, don't worry. It's pretty standard, couldn't get much material out of it, but if I did, it'd be bad news, wouldn't it, for anyone apart from the people who are here for that kind of material. Yes, she's doing a smear test bit. Get in, as it were. I love cervical humour. I don't actually mind a weird, uncomfortable social situation, though. I think I might be quite a weird, uncomfortable person. Unprecedented things sit well with me. Everything else, not so much. I'll give you an example. A while ago, I had what I would call a challenging day. Two things happened, and that's more things than usually happen to me in a day. First, I had some neutral feedback from my manager. Not negative feedback, neutral feedback. And second, I slightly set my kitchen on fire. Now, I gather that for most people, those two things have quite a strong hierarchy in terms of how much they're supposed to bother you. See, I am aware of normal mental processes, I just never actually had one myself. And here's how my brain reacted. Okay, first, neutral feedback from my manager. Well, I'm going to be fired. They've worked out I'm not a real functioning human being and I'm going to lose my job. I'm not going to be able to pay my mortgage, I'm going to lose my home. The song says nobody wants you when you're down and out, nobody's going to want me, nobody wants me now, but they'll want me even less. I'm going to become a social pariah. I'm going to die alone and unloved in a sewer, and my cat, Bernard, is going to feast on my corpse. Which, when you think about it, is an overreaction. But I need positive feedback, I crave validation. When my doctor said my urine sample was perfect, without thinking, my reaction was, oh, thanks! Is something? I'll put that on my CV. My Tinder profile, good sense of humour, perfect urine sample. So neutral feedback is difficult for me. Compare that to a literal fire in my home. Now don't get me wrong, it was scary. I had to use the fire blanket for the first time ever. I didn't know how to use it. As far as I was concerned, there was a 50-50 chance that in using the fire blanket to put out the fire, I would set the fire blanket on fire. It was terrifying, but when I had a chance to calm down, when I processed it, gone through it in my head, my brain's reaction to it was, oh, I tell you what, that was a nice change of pace. I have a complicated relationship with my brain, which is problematic because I live there. Sometimes I'll be working on my laptop, I'm not a pianist or a very good mime. I'll be working. And my brain will chip in and say, hi. Busy. Yes. Yes, I'm working. Working, are you? Cool. Cool. Hey, you know how you're interested in languages? Yes? And you know how the French word for bike is vélo? Yes, I think I remember that from school. Why? Velociraptors are called velociraptors because they used to ride bicycles. That's not true! No, that's not true! No etymology at best! People often come up to me after my gigs and say, "Oh, Chrissy, I love this character you've created." No, I have several problems. Hasn't stopped me from procreating, though. Yeah, like so many other people who have never once managed to keep a pot plant alive, I decided to bring human life into this world. And it's going all right. Not too bad. I fed her today, so... I love being a parent, though. I really love having a kid. It's so moving to be able to watch this screaming potato gradually blossom into a weirdly dependent flatmate. Yeah, I love having a kid. Didn't love being pregnant, though. Didn't love that at all. Maybe I was doing something wrong. I mean, I was doing it fine. I kept her in there. Didn't accidentally leave my womb at the shops. Which anyone who knows me will tell you that was not entirely out of the question. But maybe I did something wrong in terms of my attitude, because pregnant women are supposed to be radiant, aren't they? Yeah, I wasn't radiant as advertised. I wasn't a glowing fertility goddess. I was more of an angry sphere with wind. Found out I was pregnant the normal way, peeing on a stick. Still think that's quite a weird thing to be the normal way to do anything. In most situations I found peeing on something optional, if not frowned upon. But I realised that I was not just pregnant, but pregnant. A little while later, when a guy came up to me in the street and shouted, "Oi, darling, you look healthy." And I looked down at myself and I thought, yeah, fair play. That is the most racy thing you can say about my appearance right now. I'm roughly the size and build of a sturdy wardrobe, an IKEA Prego. But thank you for pointing out I don't look like I'm going to die in childbirth. It was all worth it though. I've got my daughter now, she's 13, she's brilliant, name's Anwen. I love her to bits. One of the things I love most about having a kid is being able to share my cultural references with her. If I could, I would share my entire frame of reference, and I know that I can't do that. I know that one of these days she's going to look back fondly with a tear in her eye at the time when people were eating laundry detergent for a dare on TikTok. A reference which is simultaneously egregiously modern and already out of date, because I don't know. Look at me, I've never been cool. I've never had my finger on the cultural pulse. If I were a cultures doctor, it would be long dead, and I would know nothing about it. I'd still just be there in the background dancing to the Steps version of tragedy. But I tried to share as many of my cultural references with her as I can. And once, when she was very little, we were invited to a wedding reception. And this wedding reception had what you might call a regulation wedding disco. You know, the kind where the DJ set hasn't changed since 1993, and that's okay. It's a safe place, it's a happy place. You know what you're going to get. You're going to get Oops Upside Your Head, you're going to get Superman, Cha-Cha Slide, Grease Mega Mix. Yeah, everyone loves a bit of Grease Mega Mix. And that evening, I didn't see much of Anwen, because at the age of 5, she already had more of a social life than I ever will have. And that night she attached herself to my friend Julia. She followed Julia around all night. And by about 10:30, 11, Julia was starting to flag. She was getting fed up. She was edging towards the boundaries of the dance floor as You Can't Touch This blared on the sound system, trying to talk to another adult. And I was privileged to witness this tiny child with the most earnest, somber look on her face go after her and go, "Julia, Julia, you have to stop. It's hammer time." Now, at this point, I was going to ask if there are any adults. There are quite a lot of adults in the audience. I was going to ask if there are any parents in the audience, but know that there's a parent in the audience because one of my daughter's primary school friends' mums is in the audience today. She came and accosted me, not accosted, a nice version of accosted me earlier. And I had to say, oh hi, I'm a stand-up comedian now. Felt really apologetic about it, like I must be lying. Like I was trying to think of a job and came up with something like, I've run away to join the circus. But I think you'll be able to identify with this. I think any parent will be able to identify with this. When you're a parent, you spend so much of your life parenting that on those occasions where you're not supposed to be parenting, it's really hard to turn it off. Yeah, we've all, I think, accidentally pointed out a moo cow to a bunch of strangers on the bus. Yeah. I'll tell you the worst one of these that ever happened to me. It was when my partner at the time had a friend round. So this was two men in their late 30s kicking back playing cards in my living room. And let me tell you, it really does change the whole vibe of an evening. When you go up to your romantic partner, your long-term romantic partner, and his friend who you don't know very well, lean over them and say, will mummy get you a drink? I had a threesome that night just to save face. Brilliant. I unfortunately have been Chrissy Derbyshire. Thank you, sorry, please ignore me, I wasn't here.